A season of heartbreak, history, triumph. It all culminates tonight from Mohegan Sun Arena in the Big East Tournament Final between our top two seeds in a top 10 showdown between UConn and Villanova for the tournament championship. These two teams had different roads to get here. UConn rolled through their first two rounds, winning by a combined total of 59 points. Meanwhile, for Villanova, two nail-biting wins by a combined 3 points to get to the championship game. Hello again, everybody. Matt Schumacher, Sarah Kustok with you. We'll be joined by Kim Adams in just a moment. This is a rematch from last year's championship, a rematch of two games that were decided by single digits in the regular season, but it's also a rematch of two teams with some superstars on the floor tonight. You're looking at two of the best players in the country. Let's take the matchup within the matchup and start with Aaliyah Edwards, because she is a force on the inside, and you're going to see how she's able to score in so many different ways. Back to the basket, put it on the floor. She's aggressive. She understands how to use her body and angles. And of course, when it comes to Edwards, she continues to get better each and every year. The Big East most improved player this season. And of course, Maddie Segrist leading the country in scoring. Big East all-time leading scorer. And you can see why, because she understands how to read a defense, get to any spot she wants to on the floor, get to the rack, mid-range game, stretch you out from three. She is an individual that UConn will have to have all eyes on and attention and talk, and a lot of different coverages happen. And both were huge in last night's wins to get them to this point. Maddie Segrist had 37 points. The rest of the team had 26. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Edwards was one of three players for UConn to have a double-double. Expect big nights from these two stars again tonight in the Big East Tournament Final. A rematch of last year's championship and a showdown between two of the top teams in the country. It all comes up next on FS1. It is a packed house tonight as tip-off in the Big East Tournament Championship is just around the corner as we welcome you back inside Mohegan Sun Arena and throw it to the third member of our team tonight, Kim Adams.
Thanks so much, Matt. Well, Villanova has been red hot coming into this Big East Championship game. They have won 19 of their last 21 games, but those two losses, both to the UConn Huskies, both by single digits. And Denise Dillon has been impressed with the growth of her team in terms of finding ways to win. It's something they've done in the first two games of this Big East tournament, where they've won by a combined 3 points, and they're looking to do that here tonight. And a big message from Denise to her team, Matt: be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
She told us, Kim Adams, that UConn takes you out of your comfort. They force you to be uncomfortable. A great message and great stuff as always from Kim Adams. As we take a look at tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Jeep, there's only one. Villanova has had the same starting five now for all 34 games this season. Meanwhile, UConn has had to go with 6 different starting lineups this year due to all the injuries. But tonight, Sarah, their 4th time with 10 active players. There's just something a little bit different about this UConn team come March at full strength. There is a familiarity at this time of the year for UConn. They've been here before, and every player that puts on a UConn uniform understands that type of pedigree. But, you know, when you talk about what Kim was saying with Denise Dillon, Villanova, they've got a little bit more experience. They were here last season, and they have come ready. Some of those gritty wins that they have had to pull out throughout the early part of this tournament can serve them well, because they've got a lot of confidence coming into this one. And here we go. The 2023 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament title game is underway. And Lopez Seneschal gets us started with a baseline jumper. Calmness. Lou Lopez Seneschal has been a model of consistency for this Huskies team, and you see it right there out of the gates. First play for her. 14 points in both of the opening round games for UConn, and Dowsey goes right back with the response. Excellent flip, beautiful bounce pass by Olsen, and that's going to be something, negotiating those type of ball screens for UConn. Villanova will continue to cut and move hard. Inside to Griffin. And the rebound, Maddie Siegrist, the back-to-back Big East Player of the Year. Lucy Olson runs the point for Villanova. And here is Nika Mule for UConn, the back-to-back Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Had it picked off by Olson. Dowsey's 2 for 2.
Dowsey may only be a sophomore, but she's stepping into those type of shots where she faces up against you.
Well, so many coaches have told us UConn is just different in March. So we asked Gino, why is this team different? And he said, guys, I don't know exactly what it is, but our team thrives on where our confidence level is when the calendar turns to March. And Denise Dillon echoed those sentiments, saying UConn in March is a different program.
27 conference tournament titles.
That'll give you a little bit of confidence. How about 14 straight trips to the Final Four? Denise Dillon, as Kim mentioned, said to her team after shoot-around, get comfortable being uncomfortable tonight. And she also told us the key is those effort areas. 50-50 balls, rebounds, and defensive intensity.
Take away some of those easy baskets for UConn. Keep them off the free throw line. Second chance opportunities, points off turnovers. Those are integral when you're trying to beat a Husky team.
Siegrist. And the rebound, Dowsey. Shot clock did not reset. Mullen a 3. Dowsey again. A lot of looks on that possession. Mule all the way to the cup with the left hand.
That's an excellent take by Mule. You have 3 blue jerseys in the paint, and I think they were expecting her to pass and kick out, and instead she had a clear opening.
Coming off her second double-double of the season at 10 points, 11 assists in the win against Marquette in the semifinal. Olsen with a step back.
For as much focus is on Maddie Siegrist, it's the others that are going to have to come to the plate, fill some of those gaps, and make sure they are producing. And Lucy Olsen's doing that early on.
Great backdoor cut. Lopez Seneschal found by the 6'5" transfer, Dorka Juhas.
You think about Dorka, you think about her points, the rebounding. She's averaging over 3 assists per game this season.
Gino Auriemma said the first half for Dorka Juhas against Marquette was the best he has seen her play in a UConn uniform. She had 9 points and 9 rebounds and finished with a double-double. That foul against Villanova.
And we've talked a lot about the resiliency of this UConn group with different lineups in different combinations because of injuries, because of individuals being in and out. And that affects you. And Dorka Juhas was one of those players missing some time for a variety of reasons, hampered by an ankle injury early.
And Lopez Seneschal draws a foul on Bella Runyon, and it's of the shooting variety.
And so,
third foul on Villanova.
What we talked about, Matt, just trying to eliminate some of the areas that UConn can put points on the board, like free throw shooting, like the rebounding factor. That was big in the most recent meeting between Villanova and UConn.
UConn was plus 22 on the glass in their second meeting back in February. It was a highly touted matchup, sold out Finneran Pavilion on the campus of Villanova University, and UConn got it done with 6 players, beating a top 15 Villanova side.
I'll tell you what, I called that game, and it was exhilarating, just the level of focus between both sides and how there was such a high level of execution, but that environment matters, and we are feeling that here tonight at Mohegan Sun.
Dowsey fouled by Juhas. Just the first foul on UConn. How about this? Last night in the semifinal, Maddie Siegrist had 37 points. The rest of the team 26. So far tonight, she has 0 of the team's 6.
Even a situation like that, though, you see 2 players collapse on Siegrist, and that's what's going to be interesting to watch throughout the course of this game. What type of coverages does UConn throw at her? Do they send doubles? Will they play any little bit of a zone.
Olsen pushing, rejected out of bounds by Griffin.
Lucy Olsen is on the attack. Tries to split the defender. Big time block by Aubrey Griffin. X factor for this Huskies group, not only in how she can score and her versatility, but the defender that she is on this side of the floor.
Shot clock did not reset. 15 on the timer. Burke. Dowsey, another offensive rebound. And then sent back by Uhas. It'll stay here.
Say this much, Wildcats are doing an excellent job in their attack on the offensive glass. They've been less concerned about getting back and have been very precise on how they're continuing to move and find ways to get some second chance looks. They've not been able to capitalize quite as much, but still keeping possession is important.
Olsen drew contact and the call comes in from Karen Prato. And it'll be 2 shots coming.
Some trips to the free throw line for both teams, and Matt, both coaches have talked about this. You know, in any scenario when you're playing a championship game, it's going to get chippy, it's going to get physical. You need to be ready for that, but in particular when you play UConn, they will come at you, and that's not just on the inside in the post, it's the perimeter, the way they pressure the basketball, getting in passing lanes. And it's something that Villanova will not only need to withstand, but also match as well.
Griffin had it poked away, stayed with it, but traveled.
Ooh, quick help by Maddie Burke coming over in the post. You see Lucy Olsen trying to do her best. Travel call off that play. We've been seeing a lot of doubling and a second coming over by Villanova when UConn gets it on the inside.
And an offensive foul against Villanova, the team's 4th foul of the quarter.
Maddie Seagrass, she's trying to create some space to be able to have an entry pass, and Aaliyah Edwards has been doing an excellent job in denial regardless of where she's at on the floor.
Here is the most improved player in the Big East, Aaliyah Edwards. Gives it up to Uhas for 3. Villanova just 3 of 13 shooting to start the ball game. Good rebound attempt by Runyon. And we will step aside. UConn with an early lead. Villanova hanging tough despite the shooting woes in the first quarter. A 4-point deficit for the Villanova Wildcats. Less than 5 minutes to play in the opening quarter of our Big East Tournament Championship final. As we go inside the huddle with Denise Dillon. Check that. We're going to wait a second as the officials are taking a look at the monitor. Here is what they are looking at. I believe they might be checking if Dorka Uhas actually was behind the line there. It was called a 3 on the floor. Tough to see from that angle.
Yeah, Dowsey was blocking her foot, but that first angle looked like her toe may have been on the line.
Even there, it's almost too hard to tell if her shoe is actually on the line or behind it.
All tough to say. That one looked behind.
Not enough to overturn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it'll stay a 3-pointer, and thus a 4-point lead for UConn. Honestly, it's remarkable considering UConn only has a 4-point lead and Villanova has struggled so much offensively. No points yet for Segrist, and she changes that out of the timeout.
On cue, Matt. A nice inbounds pass there, play for Villanova to get her the basketball, allow her to work with that real estate inside.
Just the second made field goal in the last 8 attempts for Villanova. Lopez Seneschal had it jarred loose. Runyon on the floor. Olsen to Dowsey, who has 6 early points for the Wildcats.
Excellent poise by Dowsey to let Edwards go by her, but overall that break was run like a clinic by Villanova. Everyone filling gaps and lanes.
And an offensive foul against UConn.
And so right now, Villanova has taken 16 shots. UConn has taken 6. There's a big discrepancy. A lot of that is the offensive rebounding. We talk about the struggles and efficiency for the Wildcats, but they continue to attack, and they've gotten these opportunities.
7 offensive rebounds for Villanova. No second chance points, though. Deep post touch, and Edwards goes right into the chest of Segrist.
Getting her work done before the catch. It's that deep of a seal for Aaliyah Edwards as she gets it inside, allows her to have that quick turnaround.
Felt like that was the key for her and Juhas last night against Marquette. A turnover from Runyon. Easy Fudd, fresh onto the floor. Burke a 3. Dowsey, 3 seconds. The 8th offensive rebound, and yet Villanova has not been able to find a way to capitalize on any of them just yet.
And still, though, that's something you got to build on. Lou Lopez Seneschal laboring a little bit as she walked to the end of the bench. It looked like she was limping some as she's taken off her shoelace on the left foot.
She's one of just very few players for UConn this year that hasn't missed time due to injury as Edwards rolls right to the cup.
And there's your other one, taking advantage. Everyone's cleared out. The defense is staying attached to the perimeter, and because of it, Edwards could put it on the deck.
Coming off back-to-back double-doubles in the quarterfinal and the semis. Runyon. And the shooting woes from downtown continue for Villanova, now 0 of 8 from beyond the arc.
What UConn has done a really nice job is in some ways stagnating the Villanova offense. And Denise Dillon talked about us at shooter. I said, we know that UConn's not going to allow us to get into our stuff. They'll get into bodies. They don't allow you to move quite as much as you want to, whether that's cutting, whether that's screen setting. And we're seeing a lot of that early on.
Caroline Ducharme on the floor for the first time tonight for UConn. This team with 10 active players for just the 4th time since the season opener tonight. And another offensive rebound, the 9th. Mule, blow by and stripped by Burke. And it goes back to Villanova.
A couple nice defensive plays on both sides. The crowd doesn't like the lack of a call off that one, but quick hands by Villanova as you see it here. Mule, the blow by, the tuck, and just lose it is off that play. Burke does a nice job at moving her feet, staying in front. Whew, that's a stare down by Mule. Do not get in her way.
Juhas stepping through, counted in the foul.
So we could talk a lot about all the players in this lineup for UConn, but Dorka Juhas is one of the most unique in her skill set she brings to the table. We've already seen her knock down a three-point shot, and look at her there, her poise at the end of the catch in traffic. She's able to use her steps, the length, to be able to create space, finish at the rim, get an and one shot. Her size is something that she can exploit Villanova with, and the size of UConn is always something that is a challenge for any opponent. But when you look across the lineup, it's not only about being able to post, it's the different areas on the floor they can come at you with multiple players.
Juhas at 6'5", the tallest player on the floor tonight for Villanova, 6'2". Siegrist. And another offensive rebound from Olbrys that time. Olsen finally pays one off. The first two second chance points of the night for Villanova.
Tough take by Olsen. They're going to need it. You saw that first miss with Siegrist. She's able to split the defenders, but she's got two on her anytime she gets a catch.
10 offensive rebounds in the first quarter for Villanova, none for UConn, in spite of the height disparity.
AZ Thud's third game back, returning from after re-injuring that knee. I know the accuracy is not something we've seen out of her like we're accustomed to, but it looks good. She's got to continue taking those shots.
Siegrist. Now 1 of 7 to start the game. And that ends the first quarter. It was physical. And in spite of the shooting woes, just 24% for Villanova. They are within 2 possessions.
This place is rocking here at Mohegan Sun, and these teams came to play high level of intensity. Great compete. We got a close one heading in the second quarter. UConn up by 5.
As we welcome you back inside Mohegan Sun Arena for the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament Championship between UConn and Villanova. Not many people have been able to contain Maddie Siegrist this year. In fact, she scored 20 points or more in all 33 games coming into tonight. It's something, though, Sarah, that UConn was able to do last year in the championship game, holding her to 16 points.
They can throw a lot of different things at an individual like Siegrist, and take a look at where her shots are coming from, different areas on the floor. But what is she seeing? She's seeing a double, but where it's coming from different places. Every time off the catch, she's got to think, and she's created well. She's still been able to get off some good shots, but sometimes when you're sped up, it's not quite as easy to have that type of consistency to see it go through.
Siegrist off the bounce and off the back iron.
And add in big, quick, athletic, physical, smart bodies. There's multiple players like that on the UConn defensive side.
Siegrist had 20 points in the first half last night against Creighton. She's 1 for 8 to start the game tonight. As Ducharme puts in a deep 2. Good to see her back, fighting her stroke. Missed 13 games with a concussion, went down in the first game of this tournament for UConn and returned yesterday. Finally, the first 3 of the game for Villanova, and it's Caitlin Oriole.
That was a good-looking stroke, and she's shooting nearly 37% from a three-point line that season, but that's what's got to happen. There has got to be catch-and-shoot threats on the floor for Villanova aside from just Siegrist and Olsen.
Ducharme jarred loose. Here comes Oriole. Siegrist a deep 3. Back-to-back triples for the Wildcats.
And a fist pump from Siegrist. She was surveying the floor and realized that Ducharme's hands were down, had a little space. Great looking stroke.
The start of the game 0 for 10. Edwards trying to fight for the offensive rebound, wins it back for UConn.
And watch Siegrist's eyes. So she's pump faking, realizes there's some room, knocks down the shot over Ducharme. And as a scorer, as a shooter, Matt, you see one go through and all of a sudden the basket gets bigger. For Siegrist, that's all a part of it. There's stretches the shots aren't going to go through, but she's someone that's going to keep taking those shots and keep being aggressive and looking for them.
She told us she tries not to show too much emotion, wants to be even-keeled for her teammates. After starting the game 1 for 7, that one had to feel pretty good.
Maddie, it's a championship game, girl. You show whatever you want.
Dowsey draws a foul, and it goes against Daisy Fudd.
We talked about coming in, the experience for both of these teams, obviously, but having been here last season. But this environment is raucous. This is incredible. And sometimes it takes a little bit, you know, whether it's excitement, nerves, adrenaline, anxiousness.
Daisy Fudd draws a turnover and gives it back to UConn. 4th turnover of the first half for a Villanova team that hasn't turned it over more than 8 times in a game in this tournament. Juhas rejected by Dowsey. Give it back to the Cats.
Christina Dowsey with the big-time block. She has a single-season record for blocks for Villanova, already with 74. In the tracking, the timing, that's part of her growth as a sophomore. How can you still get those blocks, move your feet, but keep it clean? Excellent job on that positioning.
Segrist over the double team. How about the hook shot?
Matt, throughout the entirety of the season, she's seen double teams, she's seen triple teams, but now she's starting to catch a little bit of a rhythm and a flow.
.80 run for Villanova. Fudd with 5. Juhas. Rebound Dowsey. Mullen a 3.
That's a great block out by Aubrey Griffin. Segrist was trying to attack and pick up that offensive rebound, and Griffin does a great job in finding a body.
Well, good news for UConn. Lopez Seneschal coming back onto the floor after she hobbled off before that first media timeout. We received word that she just had her ankle retaped, and she's good to go.
Yeah, exactly what you want to see if you're Gino Oriana and this Huskies team. We talked about all areas of the game that she impacts, and someone that has been durable and consistent for this Huskies team.
Had 7 points in the first 7 minutes. Edwards just too easy off the bump, and Edwards has 6 points. Olsen. And the rebound, Edwards. Mule the pull-up. Edwards another rebound. Lopez Seneschal gets a 3rd opportunity and draws a foul on Dowsey, her 2nd.
So after we were talking about the offensive rebounding of Villanova early on, UConn has had a much better effort in making sure they're boxing out, finding bodies, securing the defensive glass, and offensively they're getting after it as well. They have been on the attack, picking up some extra opportunities for themselves.
Rebounding was a point of emphasis by Villanova head coach Denise Dillon. Her team was out rebounded by 22 in the last meeting. They're +4 so far in the game. How about Edwards? 8 points, 7 rebounds, still 5 minutes and change left in the first half.
And that's why she is such a tough matchup, because what was she doing the last couple catches and possessions? Putting it on the floor, getting to the rim. And that time when you give her some space because you're protecting for the drive, she can knock down the 15-footer.
Olsen backing down Mule. And the rebound by the 6'5" Juhas. Mule lost it out of bounds. Well defended by Megan Olbreeze.
Olbreeze beat her to the spot. She cut her off. She knew what Nika Mule was looking for, and does a nice job here helping out her teammate. Maddie Burke gets beat. but O'Breeze is right there to protect.
7th UConn turnover. They haven't had more than 13 in a game in this tournament. A little bit more intensity on the defensive end of the floor for both teams. It'll stay with Villanova when we return. Cats on a 2.5-minute scoring drought, but they trail the top team in the conference by just 3. UConn coming off another regular season Big East championship, but it was not easy to get to this point. Ranked 6th in the preseason poll, but then Paige Beckers, top freshman Ice Brady, they go down for the season with injuries. UConn, though, continued to roll. 3 top 10 wins in their first 5. But then the injuries started to pile up as the season went along. They lost back-to-back games for the first time in 2 decades. Lost to unranked teams St. John's and Marquette in the conference for the first time in a decade, losing 2 conference games. Gino Auriemma told us that if they're able to win this tournament championship tonight, Sarah, it might be the most difficult journey to a title in his time as the head coach at UConn, and this is why.
You look at the injuries. I mean, Paige Becker, former National Player of the Year. You got an All-American there, the top 5 recruit in Ice Brady, who got injured before the season even started. You think about the time that AZ Fudd was out, another All-American, and everyone else had certain stretches of missing time, and it had a handful of UConn games this season. And Coach Auriemma said this has been one of the most challenging seasons, but also there is such a appreciation for the resiliency.
How about the resilience of Maddie Siegrist? She started the game 3 of 10. Up to 9 points. The Villanova team that has won 19 of 21 coming in. Their 2 losses, though, to this UConn team by single digits.
And it's all about settling in. We're seeing Siegrist settle in, but also the rest of the teammates. There's a good tempo to how they're playing.
Olsen, backdoor, Siegrist too heavy.
And that's a beautiful play, because Aubrey Griffin was face guarding Siegrist, didn't even see the pass coming.
Good post feed inside to Juhas. What positioning by the 2nd-year transfer from Ohio State.
Matt, the same thing you pointed out with Aaliyah Edwards. We just saw it out of Dorka Juhas. She was well inside the circle. It was the work before the catch, her ability to deep seal it, that gave her an easy look and an excellent entry pass, too.
Olsen, what a nifty move around and out. It has been that type of first half for Villanova. So many near misses for a team that's shooting less than 30% from the floor. Newell, rejected, no call. She wanted it, up ahead to Siegrist. Spinning. And the rebound, Lopez Seneschal. Luka Newell a little bit fired up after that no call.
He's been fired up this whole game. I think Luka Newell steps on the court fired up.
Edwards draws a foul on Megan O'Breeze. Coming up on the Jeep Halftime Report, we will have first half stats and highlights from tonight's final. Stick around for the next 3 minutes plus. 2:52 left in the first half. And a 3-point game. As Aubrey Griffin comes out, AZ Fudd back in the game. Meanwhile, we've received word that Caroline Ducharme is on the bench, or off the bench rather, with ice on her head. We will keep you abreast of that situation. Remember, she missed 13 games in the regular season with a concussion. And took a big knock to the head in the quarterfinal game. Had to come out at the halfway point.
That's significant. And for her as a human being and for her overall health, concussions are very serious.
And a travel for Lucy Olsen. 5th turnover on Villanova.
Once again, double as the ball starts to enter the post. You got Juhas and Newell doing a great job in the collapse and really shrinking the space that Olsen has to operate with. There you see Caroline Ducharme. The ice on the back of her head.
And you just feel for Caroline Ducharme because she has had a long road of injuries in 2 seasons in stores. Hoping she can get healthy for the NCAA tournament as Edwards goes down. And that's the third team foul on Villanova. Timeout on the floor. A 5-point lead for UConn. Timeout taken by Denise Dillon. Her team won for its last 7. But surely you've got to feel pretty confident considering how poorly they've shot the basketball and how close this game is.
And they're creating really quality shots, so I think that's something to be said for how they should feel at this point as they try and close out the second quarter. But on the flip side of things for UConn, it's been a little bit of everyone, a lot of balance, but in particular, Aaliyah Edwards has just been a beast. We talked about her in the open, the multiple ways she can score, and it has been on full display here in this first half. Deep positioning in the post, back to the basket. This time puts it on the deck, able to penetrate, and she's going at anyone who is in front of her. Segrist has spent a lot of time with that assignment, but she's also had some mismatches. And look at the quickness. Straight line drive. Aaliyah Edwards has been really smart and decisive about what she does with the ball in her hands.
Nearing a double-double in the first half. Turns it over, though, to Maddie Burke. Side of the rim. Villanova now 10 for 37 from the floor.
Important couple minutes. Is UConn going to be able to push this to double digits? Will Villanova cut into the deficit?
Mullen tagged with her first, the 4th on the team. One more. Villanova sends UConn into the bonus.
And Mullen trying to face guard Lou Lopez Seneschal, but you see right there the body get tangled up. You talk to Gino Auriemma and anyone else. Lopez Seneschal has had players and defenders hanging at her the entirety of this season.
Offensive foul gives it back to Villanova. And it goes against Azzi Fudd. And that is her second.
Let's see what happens here. Fudd trying to cut, create a little space. And there's just a little bit of a body and a shove off there on Olsen. And for Azzi Fudd, I said this earlier, the amount of time she's missed, she's reacclimating herself, getting herself back, and things always take a little bit of time. The fact that she's able to get game action, try and find a rhythm, get some of the rust off, I think is really important as you look at this team heading into the NCAA tournament.
Oriole took too many steps. You're right, Sarah. Azzi Fudd only played 9 regular season games. She missed 22 of the 24 coming into this tournament. And Gino told us, look, do I think she's a little bit tentative, a little bit cautious? Yes, that's to be expected. But just having her on the floor, confidence for our team, and it forces the opponent to always know where she is.
You have to respect her. She has got gravity on the floor because she could start pouring in buckets at any moment.
Down to Edwards, who has been a bucket in this tournament. Give her 12 in the first half. 6-0 UConn run. Villanova going on 4 minutes without a score. And another turnover off the hands of Olbreys.
UConn knows who they need to feed, because on the inside, Aaliyah Edwards has been making Villanova pay. Nika Mule, the nice little bounce entry pass. I mean, you don't pass Sue Bird to become UConn's single-season assist leader. You not only don't know how to feed it, but who to feed the basketball to. And Mule has been excellent with her precision and where she's getting her teammates the ball.
A 15-second differential between game and shot clock here. Backdoor cut. Lopez Seneschal lays it in. Final 15 seconds of the half. Olsen rims out the runner. Rebound Juhas. And a whistle before the buzzer. And if it's a foul, UConn will get free throws. Officials are going to check the monitor here, but by the naked eye and my ear, it sounded like that whistle came before the buzzer.
Agreed. Agreed. We'll have to wait and see once it goes under review.
Replay, it sounds like Villanova did foul before the shot clock, or before the game clock expired, rather. They have put 1 second back on the timer, and Nika Mule's headed to the free throw line. Man, what a turn of events here over the last few minutes, particularly since Lopez Seneschal's return. UConn's gone on a 12-2 run.
She had such an element of movement, and we've seen that out of not just the ball movement by UConn, but the spacing and the body movement.
Mule, a 75% free throw shooter. The second. UConn will take their largest lead of the game into the half, a 13-2 run to end the first half.
And they were clicking on all cylinders on the offensive end, also getting some more stops that allowed them to get runouts, flow into early offense, a whole lot more fluidity, and we saw it with their connectivity at that end of the floor.
Kim is standing by with Gino Auriemma.
Coach, you've held Villanova to about 25% shooting in the opening 20 minutes. What has happened on that end of the floor to allow them to feel uncomfortable?
Well, I think we're working really hard at it. They may be as hard a team in the country as there is to guard. So, you know, it's just a lot of hard work and a lot of communication, and it's only 20 minutes, though. You know, a lot can happen in the next 20, but I think we came out of that 20 with exactly what we wanted.
And you continue to get production inside from Aaliyah Edwards and Dorka Juhas. Anything more you'd like to see from your perimeter players to complement that?
Well, the reason those guys are getting so much of that is because of how hard they're playing the guys on the perimeter. So if we can keep moving like we did when Lou got that layup, you know, I think that's going to free up our perimeter guys, but it's also going to give our big guys even more opportunities to get to the basket.
All right, we appreciate the time, Coach. Matt?
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Kim. He's got to be pretty pleased with as tight as this game was early, how UConn has pulled away and how they have clamped down on Maddie Siegrist.
Yeah, I mean, 4-13 from the field. She is normally an individual that has such a high level of efficiency, and they've made all of her shots tightly contested, very challenging, sending two players at her. She caught a little bit of a rhythm there for a while towards the second quarter, but it's something to absolutely keep an eye on here as we head into the second half.
Started the game 1 for 10. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Edwards, 1 rebound away from a double-double. The top 2 seeds in the conference, 2 top 10 teams in the country, battling it out for a conference crown. The Big East regular season champion UConn Huskies on top by 10 at the half as we check in with the third member of our team, Kim Adams.
Thanks, Matt. Well, I caught up with Villanova head coach Denise Dillon. 20 points between Aaliyah Edwards and Dorka Juhas. She said our post defense is killing them. She wants her players to do a better job of beating them to the spot and contesting the shots. And then offensively, she said, we're not moving the ball. We're trying to make too many individual plays. So more ball movement, more patience on offense. Just 4 assists in the first half for this Villanova team that averages 17 per game, Matt and Sarah.
Kim, that's such a great point, because that's exactly what Gino Auriemma told us today, what makes this Villanova team so difficult to guard, Sarah, how much they move without the basketball.
And we haven't seen a lot of that, and that circles back to the point. If you look at the shot selection and the shot profile of Villanova there in the first half, and 2 of 13 from the three-point line. A lot of those three-point shots just came off of a couple dribbles, putting it up. There wasn't a lot of shifting and rotating the defense and getting it to the second side for UConn, but that's also a part of the game plan for the Huskies and a part of how UConn forces you into play.
Villanova ended the first half on a 4.5-minute scoring drought. UConn took a 13-2 run into the halftime locker room. 10 on the timer for the Cats. 5 to shoot. Mullen with 3. Puts it in. What a tough shot at the end of the shot clock to end the drought.
Well, and Mullen makes a nice play off of that possession, but again, you see UConn, they're denying at every position. There was nowhere for Mullen to go off of that play. She ends up coming up with something there at the end of the shot clock.
Juhas, extra pass, Mule rejected by Dowsey, and then a foul. And Dowsey's got to be careful because that was a major hit to the noggin, and Mule went down hard. That is the 3rd foul on Dowsey.
Probably could have used one more swing pass from Mule, but it's that second play in the challenging part of that, if you're Denise Dillon, as you're trying to work and get this sophomore to understand just the capability she has as a shot blocker. She made the initial great play. It's the second play that then picks up the foul and retains possession for UConn.
Had a similar foul last night that gave Creighton an intentional foul. 2 shots at the free throw line and the basketball back as Juhas steps through right to the basket. That's what made that Villanova win over Creighton a little bit tighter than the Wildcats fans would have liked. Back to a 10-point lead for UConn, who has won 3 straight against this Villanova team, including last year's Big East Tournament Championship game. Dowsey, set back by Juhas. Up ahead, Lopez Seneschal.
That pass was perfection.
Largest lead of the night for the Huskies. Step back from Olsen.
Villanova's in some danger zone with how UConn is playing right now and turning a lot of defense to offense. Big time block by Juhas, and watch Lopez Seneschal running that right wing. Nika Mule catches her in stride. Easy basket on the break. And UConn's starting to pour it on.
Let's get the sense in this game, in this building. The Cats need a couple stops and a couple buckets, something that was hard to come by in the first half. UConn shot at 52% to the Cats 27 from the floor.
And a part of that, too, is we have continued to talk about, there was a lot of misses. There was also a lot of offensive rebounds for Villanova. We haven't seen as much of that.
Mullen draws a foul after Sagers coughed it up. Lucky play there for the Cats. Sometimes it takes that to get back on the right side of things in a game where you're down 12 to the number 7 team in the country and the top seed in this tournament. Olsen over Juhas and draws a foul. 2 shots coming for Lucy Olsen.
Strong take by Lucy Olsen. You like the fact that she's going right at Juhas. The arm gets the left forearm of Olsen off that play. I even think she too had the left arm on her right shoulder a little bit as she was driving. But there's an example. I mean, 2 of 11 up from the field for Lucy Olsen. You kind of go down the lineup for Villanova. There's a lot of that. Kim Adams talked about what Denise Dillon said in terms of ball movement and the assist numbers for a Wildcats team that normally is high in that area. Another area is the turnovers. They're second in the nation with fewest turnovers, 8.8 per game, and they already have 7.
Mule, tough take.
Post defense isn't just about post players. It's about rim protection, too.
Maddie Segrist on the board in the second half. She had 9 on 4 of 13 in the first half, and the nation's leading scorer now in double figures. Can she get hot in this final half? Juhas off the shuffle from Fudd.
There's an example, Matt, of what you talked about in the first half of, regardless of AZ Fudd making or missing shots, you know she's always a threat to, so she draws in and attracts two defenders, easy dump off, beautiful play creation by Fudd.
I don't think we've seen a point in the second half of UConn that hasn't been in the paint, which is exactly what Denise Dillon wanted her team to defend against. Coming out of the halftime locker room. Olsen. And now Villanova just 2 of 15 from distance. Mule, the lob. Edwards pays it off. Timeout Villanova.
The passing has been beautiful for the UConn Huskies, and all the plays are developing thanks to organization by these point guards. Nika Mule over the top, Edwards on the run. Another fast break point for the Huskies, up by 15.
About this diehard UConn fan here. AZ Fudd 35, UConn painted on the other side of the dome, and it's a 15-point lead for the top seed in the conference, their largest lead of the game. And Dorka Juhas has done a little bit of everything in this game for the Huskies.
Yeah, speaking of AZ Fudd, take a look at this two-man game between Fudd and Juhas. Little pass, handoff, and Dorka Juhas allows for AZ Fudd to work in single coverage. As soon as Segrist has to come commit and help Olsen, what does that do? That opens up the post player, Fudd with the drop-off pass. Just a beautiful connection. Those are the wrinkles and the nuances within UConn's offense that they always have, and they have the players and the personnel to do it. But think about how much time AZ has missed other individuals, and so that's all a part of being here in March. This team's starting to peak, and you can tell they're having fun doing it.
Juhas, too. She missed 8 games this year, including the regular season finale. But tonight, UConn is plus 21 with Juhas on the floor. They have outscored Villanova 10-2 in the paint in this quarter. Fudd a 3. Yes, sir!
Uh-oh. When those start going down for AZ Fudd, who in her freshman year shot 43% from 3. Tough matchup.
Picked off by Fudd. And then scooped back up by Maddie Burke. She's got to go quickly here. 5 on the timer for Villanova. Poked away by Fudd, and this time she comes away with it. Juhas, the kick out, and a fresh 20. A 7-0 run for the Huskies. Edwards. Contact and a defensive foul. And 2 shots coming for Edwards.
AZ Fudd, we showed her dishing, and now we show her swishing. Knocks down a 3-point shot, extends this lead to 18.
Largest lead of the game for the Huskies at 18, and what a tournament for the most improved player in the Big East. Aaliyah Edwards, now 3 straight double-doubles, Sarah Kustakin, capping off a terrific season.
You look at those numbers and doing it against big-time opponents. As, of course, you see there what she was able to do in the semifinal against Marquette. 20 points, 12 rebounds, and just the importance of her presence on this UConn team. And you can look at the points, you can look at the rebounds. It's a lot of the little things, too, what she brings to the table on the defensive side. She's been matched up a ton with Maddie Segrist as well. And so it's those type of things that, you know, you can look at the box score and say, wow, Aaliyah Edwards is having a big-time night and does so over and over again. But I also think it is some of the small things. And there's stretches throughout the course of the season. You think about all of these individuals, just the mental, emotional, and physical toll it takes on you when you are playing shorthanded a lot, when you are dealing with injuries and different players in and out of the lineup. So a lot of credit goes to her for that and just the consistency of which she showed up.
They played most of January with 8 or fewer players. 4 times this season they've had 7 available. Both times they played Villanova in the regular season, they played with 6. And yet they just continued to find ways to win. And ultimately picked up their 10th consecutive conference regular season crown. And now they're looking for 3 straight Big East tournament crowns since returning from the American Conference. And another rebound on a double-double effort night for Edwards. Fun in transition. Buries a three.
Big smile on her face, and that's what you love to see, starting to get some of that comfort level back. Imagine, too, just there is nothing that can simulate game action, let alone Big East tournament game action.
Dalsey fighting for the offensive rebound.
So part of it's game conditioning, getting your legs back, getting the feel for the timing and for the movements.
Olsen trying to wiggle free. Late in the shot clock again. Skip pass. Orioles sent out of bounds by Ducharme.
AZ Fudd. She had hit her last three from just about that same spot. Knocks down another. And who found her? Nika Mule, who has been facilitating all night. And Caroline Ducharme coming over. That was an excellent defensive play. It's not easy blocking a perimeter shot.
Good to see Ducharme back on the floor. Remember, we saw her in the first half on the bench with ice on the back of her head. This UConn team just rounding into form at the right time like they always seem to do. There is something about UConn in March. Multiple coaches talked to us about it at this tournament. And Gino himself brought it up to us at the shoot-around today, saying we just have a level of confidence that's a bit different when the calendar turns to March.
There's an expectation. I know we've been talking about their real resiliency they showed a lot throughout the course of the season, but when you come to UConn, there's an expectation.
14-0 run.
And that is not in any way to discredit what Villanova has put together this season. This is the now 10th ranked team in the country, the Wildcats are.
Siegrist makes another tough shot. She's up to 13, but they've made it really tough for the nation's leading scorer, who has scored at least 20 points in all 33 games this season.
And Matt, you said this earlier, in the championship game of the Big East tournament last year, UConn held Maddie Siegrist to 16 points, 1 rebound.
UConn has been unstoppable in the paint. 34 points. And Siegrist draws a foul on Mule.
And there's a couple challenging things. One, when you're not making shots on one end, it doesn't allow you necessarily to get back and set up in your half-court defense. So UConn has been looking to push off of those misses. They're running the floor well, filling the lanes, making sure that they're looking for some of that early offense that has been so fluid, and they've got weapons across all 5 players on the floor. And that can be deflating for a team when you're not making shots and then you're not getting shot stops.
That was a bucket that has been so needed in this game for Villanova. Now 3 of 19 from distance. And the first made shot of the night for Maddie Burke. First-year transfer from Penn State. Ducharme. Rebound Dalsey. Edwards down behind the play, so is Fudd. Major numbers for the Cats. Mullen pays it off.
Nice little push here by Villanova, knocking down 2 3-point shots. Part of what they need to do on top of getting stops is playing at a quick pace. Some of those quick-looking 3-point shots that are starting to go through certainly help.
Lopez Seneschal draws a foul on the drive.
Little handoff play here. Maddie Burks, that's what she does. Nearly 40% from 3-point this season for Burke. And then that time, a nice shot by Mullen as she does a great job just setting herself up, feet set, catch and shoot. And if you're Villanova, you're going to need to see more of that. And a lot of that comes from penetration and kick, too.
14 foul on Villanova. Fudd. Give her free from downtown. faith goes against UConn. The return of AZ Fudd in the finals. Going pretty well for UConn.
What a beautiful sight to see from the wing. She had a couple from the left, this time the right side. The bench loves it. You know the enthusiasm they have to see her back on the floor. And I keep circling back to it as you take a look at AZ Fudd's parents. Nika Mule has done an excellent job at understanding who and when to get the ball to.
8 assists in the game for Mule. Quick 2 for Villanova. They've made now 4 of their last 5. 20-point game, final minute of the third quarter. And that is the 5th team foul on Villanova, the 3rd on Brooke Mullen. And so Lou Lopez Seneschal will head to the free throw line. Bella Runyon comes on for Brooke Mullen. Lopez Seneschal, 13 points on 5 of 6. Now 14. Sat for 5 minutes in the first half, having to get her foot retaped. And for more on Lou Lopez Seneschal, the first-year transfer from Fairfield, let's send it to Kim Adams.
Yeah, Matt. Lou Lopez Seneschal played 4 years at Fairfield out of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. She went to watch UConn's Elite 8 game last year just as a fan of basketball, a fan of UConn in nearby Bridgeport. And then just a few days later, she was in the transfer portal and got an email out of the blue from assistant coach Morgan Valley. She couldn't believe that UConn was reaching out to her. A couple more calls ensued, Zooms with her parents in France. And sure enough, she has ended up UConn. She was not expecting this type of role, but due to all of the injuries, it's something she's embraced and stepped into, and it was something she was comfortable doing in her role at Fairfield.
Great stuff, Kim. She was the Conference Player of the Year last year in her final season at Fairfield. Knew on senior night she'd be going somewhere else, just didn't know where it would be, and now she ends up on a team that is top 10 in the country and has made 14 straight Final Fours. That was the coach who reached out to her in the transfer portal, Morgan Valley. And she picked up a good one in the portal for UConn.
To say the least. Her usage obviously has skyrocketed from maybe what they expected, but the production has matched it. You think about being a unanimous first-team All-Big East selection, and she has been an example of consistency, durability, and I'm going to talk about someone that's fun to watch. She plays on the ball, off the ball. She could do a little bit of everything.
Well, the officials taking a look at the monitor. There was a foul called on the floor against UConn. Dowsey walked to the free throw line. A lot of boos ringing throughout the stadium. And now the officials are taking a look at the elbow contact here. Possibly from Dowsey as Mule hit the floor. The foul was actually called on UConn. And I believe the official word here is that there was not excessive contact.
Yeah, because that the first angle that was shown by our incredible truck, it looked like she hit just that left forearm of Mule a little bit, and she was turning within the course of her action to square up on the basket.
Dowsey, just the second Villanova player to shoot free throws tonight. The only other is Olsen. Lucy Olsen, 3 of 4 from the line. Rebound Segrist, but a foul against Oriole, sending Edwards to the floor. And now the shot clock will be turned off. Edwards pointing to the floor, saying you need to wipe that down. She's played tough tonight. She will be headed to the free throw line as both teams are in the bonus the rest of the way in this quarter. And what a night for Leah Edwards. Frankly, what a tournament for the Big East Most Improved Player of the Year. 16 points, 13 rebounds in her 3rd consecutive double-double of this tournament.
And she's done, I mean, to look at where she's getting her shots from as well. Knocked down that 3-point shot from the corner, but look at that perfect 6 of 6 from inside the circle, and she was pretty much positioning herself right underneath the basket. Saw the same thing from Dorka Juhas doing that. To have both of those players complement one another, how they can pass, you can run the offense through them, they can put it on the deck, also stretch you out from three, and then their ability with their footwork and their skill set to play with their back to the basket. Woo-wee.
Gino told us their team's success in March would be largely hinging on the performance of those two, Juhas and Edwards. Final 5 seconds of the quarter. Olsen with 3. Olsen with 2. And off the front of the rim. UConn on 56% shooting takes a 61-39 lead into the final frame of our conference tournament final. Huskies looking for a three-peat since their return to the Big East Conference. This UConn offense and frankly their defense, both things of beauty, both orchestrated by not only their back-to-back defensive player of the year in the Big East, but also their leading assister, who earlier this year broke the single season record for assists.
Man, to pass Sue Bird in anything says something, but you can see by the beauty of these passes, the angles, the timing, hitting teammates in stride off the break. She knows exactly where to put it, and also finding the hot hand. There was a couple possessions making sure to get it back to Fudd after she knocked down some three-point shots. That is all about controlling the tempo of the game. Nika Mule has done just that. 8 of UConn's 13 assists here on the night.
Broke Sue Bird's record that stood for over 2 decades. And after she broke the record, she got an unexpected FaceTime call from an unknown number. Guess who? Sue Bird.
Get out of here.
To congratulate.
Oh, Sue is the best.
Nika Mule.
She is the best. One of one player, one of one human being.
You saw it on that last graphic. The best assisters in program history. Nika Mule, part of a who's who of UConn guards, dating back many, many years under the legendary head coach Gino Auriemma. Start of the 4th quarter. And Maddie Siegrist has had challenging matchups all night long. UConn has swarmed her. The nation's leading scorer, who's averaging nearly 30 points per game, has been held to 15 on 7 of 17.
That's rough. And this, you think about 3rd game in 3 nights for Villanova, all which were so tightly contested. But that's another example when we're talking of Aaliyah Edwards, her ability to stay down, understanding the spacing she needs.
Jones has checked into the ballgame for the first time tonight for Villanova, running the point, wearing number 1. Oriole, Runyon, Dowsey, and Siegrist also on the floor. Dowsey draws contact on Fudd, and that is the 3rd on Easy Fudd. And that graphic really says it all. Villanova, you got to think emotionally, physically, maybe a little worn down coming into this tournament championship game. They won back-to-back thrillers. Meanwhile, UConn has rolled. And what a difference, Sarah. They played 10 straight games decided by single digits coming into this tournament. They have blown away the field since coming into March.
That's significant. It shows you twofold just how dominant UConn both is and continues to become as they get more complete, as they get healthier. Probably taste a little bit of a break here after tonight before NCAA tournament begins. And for Villanova, though, I mean, there's also circumstances, too, that you learn and you grow when you have those experiences and be able to finish and close out tight games that keep you with an edge. But we're seeing the big amount of discrepancy here in the second half and execution.
Bottom line, these are 2 top 10 teams in the country. And score aside, Villanova is probably still going to be a team that hosts the first weekend in the NCAA tournament. A top 16 seed at the moment. Finished 2nd in the regular season in the Big East, only to UConn. Lost both regular season meetings by just single digits. But tonight they have just struggled to shoot the basketball, less than 30% from the floor. And now 4 of 24 from 3.
And look at Villanova. Again, there's still 8 minutes left to play here in this one. A lot of season left for them as they get set for the postseason. But to think about where they're at right now, we said the 10th ranked team in the country, #2 in the Big East. And last year, they were a bubble team at this point. They went in as an 11 seed. They ended up losing to the #3 seed Michigan. But the jump that they have made this season is tremendous.
Siegrist wrestles it away, but called for the foul, and it goes back to UConn. And the Villanova faithful not pleased. Neither is Denise Dillon. She is on the floor arguing her case. Fourth foul on Maddie Siegrist. And a streak of 20-point performances in jeopardy. She has scored 20 or more in all 33 games coming into the night. She has 15 right now.
Zanai Jones does a nice job as she's entered the game, rotating off a help side to break up that pass.
Second longest streak in Division I in the last 20 years, behind only Kelsey Plum. That's pretty good company for Maddie Siegrist. Offensive foul against Dorka Juhas, her third. Man, Maddie Siegrist, 33 in a row. She is certainly worthy of National Player of the Year conversation. Of course, Caitlin Clark is in that discussion.
I think, though, the extremely impressive part about those numbers is that when you look at Maddie Siegrist and coming into the season, she was a Big East Player of the Year last year, earns that again, but came in as the preseason Big East Player of the Year. Every defensive game plan is targeted towards her and taking the ball away from her and trying to slow her down. And she still has found a way, but tonight it's been a tough one.
We've talked a lot about UConn being a different team in March. How about their dominance? 55 conference championships, 22 Final Fours, 11 NCAA titles since Gino Auriemma got to the program. They had 0 before he arrived, and 6 perfect seasons. Tonight, Sarah, they're going for their 10th consecutive conference tournament title, be it Big East tournament or American Conference tournament. And man, they have done it in a season that has been full of injury, question marks, illnesses, players, coaches missing time. Gino Auriemma lost his mother, Marciella, back in December. There has been hardship for this team, and he told us coming in to the weekend, if we are fortunate enough to win this tournament championship, it might be the most difficult one we have accomplished in his time at UConn.
That's impressive when you lay that out in and of itself, of just the continued level of success and expectation. But that does start at the top. That starts with Gino Auriemma. It starts with his coaching staff, the players they recruit, how they identify some of the best talent across the country that fit into the style and the way that they want to play. And you know, the Hall of Famer in his 38th year here, but to look at the resume and what they've put together, see Chris Daly and just the impact that she has made. But you imagine for Gino, for this group, you know, this is all a part of the checklist of things that they intend to accomplish, and for them, their season is still far from complete.
Well, they've made 14 consecutive Final Fours. And coming into March, Gino challenged himself, his staff, his players, saying we are not playing or coaching like a Final Four caliber team. That has changed here in a hurry in this tournament.
And some of that's health, and some of it's to kind of start to taste and get a little more motivated at this point of the season, considering what they've endured. I mean, think about February, 10 straight games decided by 10 points or less.
Yeah. Certainly helps to have the post play of Dorka Juhas and Aaliyah Edwards. And as we talked about in the first half, that is actually what Gino pointed to as far as the outlook for this team's success in March. What kind of performance would he get from his dynamic duo in the paint? And in this tournament, they have been sensational. 3 straight double-doubles for Edwards, and Juhas working on another double-double as well. She had one in the semifinal last night. And for more on the post play of UConn, let's send it to Kim Adams.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, Gino said from November to January they could really count on both Aaliyah and Dorka. He said in February, not so much. That was the stretch where UConn had lost 3 games, something pretty unlike their program. So he really challenged them to be better in March, and he said the best teams will go as far as the bigs take you, and he said Dorka and Aaliyah have to be that for us. He also pointed out now with AZ back, that changes how teams can guard Dorka and Aaliyah. They can't double team them as much, so it opens up more for them on the inside, guys.
Oh, that's great stuff, Kim. 5 seconds on the timer here for Fudd. Fudd with a hand in her face.
Forced to put it up, and she had some size there over Zanai Jones. But her ability to get to the spot, get that positioning on the floor, that's all as we talk about her reacclimating herself to game action and just with this group. And this group has played together for a long stretch of time, but you see the high level of talent, obviously, that she possesses and how the game changes when she's able to play the way that we have seen her throughout the course of her career.
Wow, that shot from Bolin, banking in or running deep 2. Edwards comes right back the other way, swatted, fouled to miss. Olsen, that's a 3. Hasn't always been there tonight for Olsen or this team. Now 5 of 25 from downtown, but you got to credit the fight of the Cats.
That's what you want to see in the sense of pride, continuing to still play. There is time left in this game, and so you want to leave it all on the floor.
Yeah, timeout taken by Gino Auriemma, continuing this conversation about the stars inside for UConn. How about this? Another double-double for Aaliyah Edwards, but you've been so impressed, too, by the defensive effort of these two.
I think just their ability to understand their size to go along with quickness and knowing their personnel, who they're guarding, defending without fouling, how they're able to guard on the perimeter, guard on the inside. They've got that type of physical nature, and, I mean, this accuracy and efficiency from the field is impressive, but Dorka Juhas really set the tone early on in this one, and you saw her do it from different places on the floor. Knocks down a 3-point shot. That was one of the first couple possessions of the game. So what happens? They try and run her off the 3-point line. She puts it on the deck, gets to the basket, uses her size in traffic around the paint. Oh, you want to see another part in her bag? She can play with her back to the basket and post up. Those type of things from Dorka Juhas. And I said the same could be said about Aaliyah Edwards. They can come at you in different ways. It's all about the formations and the sets of UConn, what they want to run. And because they have that perimeter shooting, because they have others on the floor that are going to attract attention, there's a lot of areas to be able to take advantage and exploit with their size.
Maddie Siegrist back on the floor for Villanova with 4 fouls and 15 points. Her streak of 33 consecutive 20-point performances in jeopardy with 4 minutes left in the ballgame. Lopez Seneschal. The kick out got away from Edwards.
Leah Edwards moving in her wake to make herself available, and Lopez Seneschal didn't really turn to identify where exactly she was at.
Gino's never happy fully.
it never stops coaching, and all of this is opportunities. Gino has also talked throughout the course of the season, because of the limited number of players, there's been a limited amount of time to practice because they're playing so many minutes. It's such high usage that you can't practice the way you typically would in other seasons. So there's a lot of things happening on the floor that you're almost using as that type of practice.
And I should correct myself, because last night Gino Auriemma used the word that his team was absolutely shocked to hear. He said we played flawlessly last night. And when Aaliyah Edwards was told what Gino Auriemma said, she said, wait, really? He said that? Yes, he did. It was that type of performance that we've been waiting to see from this UConn team, finally back at full strength. Siegrist off the back iron, followed or miss, and is headed to the free throw line. Olsen discarded to the floor. Foul on UConn.
Well, last night was special and flawless because, one, it was locking things down on both ends of the floor, and two, there was a tremendous amount of balance. Look at this, 3 players with double-doubles in that semifinal game against Marquette, of course. Edwards and Juhas doing it with the rebounds, Mule doing it with the assists. That type of combination, though, that's where you're coming in as a coach and trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to slow this team down? How are we going to try and defend them? And when they have that many weapons on the floor that can come at you in a variety of ways, man, these are the reasons why right now they're ranked 7th in the country, but they're a team that you get into tournament play, NCAA tournament play, anything can happen.
Right now they're a projected 3 seed. That was coming into conference tournament time, though. Very likely this team could wind up a 2 seed because of some of the other losses that we saw around the country in conference tournaments in the Pac-12 and the SEC, as Aaliyah Edwards continues her dominant tournament title performance. 19 points, 15 rebounds. And a foul on Lucy Olsen. Mixing it up with Nika Mule.
Yeah, Lucy Olsen just reaching in and getting tangled up there.
UConn searching for their 30th consecutive conference tournament victory and their 21st Big East tournament crown. Siegrist the fadeaway, puts it down, and now just 1 point away from a 34-game streak of 20 points or more. Seconds on the timer for UConn. Both coaches with this game decided, still coaching hard, leading these 2 top 10 programs into March. 3 on the timer. Lopez Seneschal, and tapped into the hands of Mullen.
This building was about to explode if that went through.
Jones. And a rebound for Lopez Seneschal. She traveled. Really have to highlight Lopez Seneschal as well. Now 3 consecutive tournament performances with 14 points. And we heard from Kim Adams earlier, just a great story coming from Fairfield. Was shocked to receive an email from the coaching staff at UConn, and now playing on the biggest stage in a massive role, a role that she did not expect this year.
And so to be able to run so much through Lopez Seneschal this season, that just speaks to her feel as a player and taking on that type of responsibility. And for a long stretch, I mean, think about the percentage that she shot throughout the course of the regular season from the three-point line, nearly 44%. But you see it right here, just her ability to move without the basketball, make cuts, makes reads. That helps the entirety of the offense just function in a way that you want it to. And for someone that's got her size, her length, and quickness to be able to create off the dribble for herself, for others, it's a really, really important cog to win offense.
Jones to Siegrist. And there it is. And one. And the 20-point streak continues. 34 in a row for the nation's leading scorer.
Look right here. Sanaa Jones. Nice bounce pass to get it inside. Siegrist has got two on her and two in Edwards and Juhas. Still gets it to go. Picks up the foul. You see the fist pump.
13-point game. 1:16 to play. UConn is led by as many as 25 in this game. And again, you just have to credit the fight from the Cats, who have struggled to shoot the basketball tonight. Less than 30% from the floor, but have battled. The rebound, Dowson. Final 60 seconds. Picked off by Juhas. And they can taste it now. Precipice of 30 consecutive conference tournament wins and their 10th straight conference tournament championship, including their time in the American. And for all the talk about UConn maybe in a down year with the injuries and the players missing practice time and game time, losing 3 of their final 8 coming into the tournament, UConn put a stop to all that doubt tonight and all tournament long. UConn has done it again. The three-peat complete since returning to the Big East Conference. Straight games in February decided by single digits. Not a single game in this conference tournament decided by single digits.
This is the time of year that you want to be putting the pieces together, and that's exactly what the UConn Huskies are doing. They were dominant, they were focused, they had a sense of urgency every time they stepped on the floor, and we're starting to see a team become more healthy, more complete. And you better believe they're going to be dangerous as we start to enter into talks about the NCAA tournament.
They have made 14 straight Final Fours. I got to tell you, if I'm a team preparing for UConn in the NCAA tournament, I'm starting to fear this UConn team as we send it down to Kim Adams and another championship for the head coach, Gino Auriemma.
Matt, I'm actually with Lou Lopez-Seneschal. We'll get to coach in a little bit, but Lou, you were one of the players in that grind of February that was having to play 40 minutes a night with some players out. What's different about how your team played in this tournament this weekend compared to the team we saw in February?
Yeah, like Nika said yesterday, I think we're a team that is always ready for March. I think even if we have a rough stretch, you know, we knew how to overcome it, and we knew how to play together, have more people in the team, and I think that's why I think we're here right now, and I'm super proud of the whole team.
And we talked earlier just just about how you kind of got an email out of the blue from UConn after playing 4 years at Fairfield. You're here now. You finished the full season, and it culminates with a Big East championship trophy. What does that feel like for you?
It feels so special, you know. I had one conference championship last year with the other school, Fairfield, and then another one right now. It feels surreal, you know, from 1 year going from one thing to another, but I'm just super grateful, and really I couldn't have done it without the coaches, without all my teammates, and I'm just super happy right now.
And I know you'll enjoy this moment, but with the NCAA tournament coming up, what excites you about being there with this group who has had so much success over the years in the NCAA tournament?
I can't wait. I can't wait. Like to see how we overcome challenges and how we're building up weeks after weeks. I'm just really excited for the NCAA tournament. It's going to be my second experience there, and yeah, I think it's a long ride for us, and I'm just excited for what's coming. And I have my family here, my dad who came from Mexico and watched me play basketball for the first time, so I just feel super grateful and blessed.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, merci et félicitations, Lou.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.
All right, Matt.
Look at Kim Adams chopping it up in French with the French woman. What another night for this UConn team. Another championship. When we return, we will have Sarah Kustok on the court for the championship UConn Huskies.
We welcome you in as you're taking a look at your 2023 Big East Tournament champions, the UConn Huskies. A tremendous run here for the Huskies, but I first want to introduce our Big East Commissioner, Val Ackerman, who credit to all of these teams. Such a competitive tournament, an extraordinary environment here at Mohegan Sun to all of these fans. Val, what was it like getting an opportunity to experience this moment?
Well, Sarah, it's been amazing. I want to commend the Wildcats, our runner-up, for a great finish. And I want to acknowledge all of our teams for a hard-fought season and another exciting finale here at Mohegan Sun Arena. It's been fantastic.
It sure has been an exciting finale that culminated with another, not only conference regular season championship for the UConn Huskies, but also a tournament win. Coach Auriemma, I'm gonna have to pull you on over here. So this is the 28th conference tournament title for the UConn Huskies, but this season has felt a little bit different. You guys endured some challenges, played shorthand through many occasions. Put into context for us what it means to be standing here at this moment with this group and have another conference title.
Well, we talked about it, before the game that given everything that we've been through, I think it gave us a little more resiliency, a little more strength. I just think we got a little bit tougher as the season went on, and it showed up these 3 days. And these kids know when it's March time. They've been in a couple Final Fours. And I think there's a different vibe, on our team. And certainly, having Carol and AZ back and having our whole team together, But, it gets harder every year, and it's supposed to. There's a reason Villanova is 10th in the country, and there's a reason why they're as good as they are, and they showed it tonight, And the same with Marquette and St. John's. And, you saw how every game went down to the wire. It seemed like some great games. It's supposed to be hard to win these championships. And because it was so hard, I think this one probably feels, a little more rewarding. Not that the other ones weren't, but this one has something maybe a little special to it. And I'm really proud of them because it could have been very easy for them to get away from it.
Coach, one more question for you before I get to our most outstanding player of the tournament. You mentioned March. You mentioned Final Fours. UConn has been to 22 Final Fours. What is different about a UConn Huskies program in the month of March?
I think the tradition that we've built over all those years, kids that come play for us, I think they understand what the expectation is. They understand what the demands are, how difficult it's going to be, and how rewarding it's going to be. And we're very, very fortunate that we get the kind of kids that are willing to pay that price, when you have really good players, and some years, don't get me wrong, some years our players are they're always different. Some years you have a lot of seniors, some years you don't, some years you have a lot of returning All-Americans, some years you don't. But when you have a lot of really good players, but more importantly, when you have a lot of really good kids that you enjoy being around and they enjoy being around each other, this is what happens.
And you can feel it. You can feel the chemistry on the floor, the connectivity. This championship, both in the regular season and tournament, was won top to bottom from every person standing here on this platform. But we do have to introduce your Big East tournament most outstanding player. Val Ackerman is going to hand over the trophy. I didn't even have to say it before her teammates did.
She averaged 19 points and 13 rebounds a game. What a fantastic performance. Our most outstanding player, Aaliyah Edwards.
I know everyone wants to get to celebrating, so we won't keep you long. But Aaliyah, not only were you first team All Big East, not only were you the most improved player this season, but now you're the tournament most outstanding player. Integral to the success of this team. What was different for you this season and why you were able to find the success that you did?
I think I just competed. I stuck to trying to be competitive for my teammates and for myself, and I really couldn't be here without my teammates. They fed me the ball, they inspired me, and they had the confidence in me to be an excellent player.
What is it about this group? We've talked about the challenges throughout the course of this season. You got a National Player of the Year that unfortunately is not here playing. You got individuals top to bottom that have made big contributions. What was different and unique about this group that allowed you guys to fight through all of the adversity you faced this season?
We're talented, but we're disciplined and dedicated to win, and it speaks to our standard and to what we are as a program, and we're a winning program, so that's what we did today.
All right, well, hopefully you've got a lot more winning left. This season is not over, but to Aaliyah, to the UConn Huskies, your 2023 Big East Tournament champions. Congratulations. Oh.
I don't know where he went. It's my honor to present the 2023 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament trophy to our champions, the University of Connecticut.
Congratulations to Aaliyah Edwards and to the UConn Huskies, who have won 3 consecutive Big East tournament titles since returning to the conference. We will have more championship coverage for you after the break. Don't go anywhere. UConn does it again. The celebration continues at Mohegan Sun Arena. 10 consecutive conference tournament championships for the UConn Huskies. 3 in a row since returning to the Big East Conference. And they rolled, winning every game in this conference by double figures. Matt Schumacher, Kim Adams, Sarah Kustok with you. We heard it so many times in this tournament, ladies. UConn is a different program in March. We saw it tonight.
Yeah, it was special, the way that they turned it on. I think the lockdown nature, how they played on both ends of the floor, is something that you expected out of UConn, but now that the pieces are starting to come together in terms of health, get a little bit of rest here as they head in the NCAA tournament, but more than anything, they got gamers, and everyone was gamers. So with that type of balance, it was impressive.
Yeah, they've been dominant on both ends throughout this tournament. Certainly the health, just having people back in the mix to give some people a break and not have to play as many minutes, certainly plays a big factor in this. AZ Fudd adds a different element to this team, but they're really taking shape. The bigs, as we've pointed out all weekend long, have just been dominant, Aaliyah and Dorka.
AZ Fudd also had 11 points in her 4th game back since January the 15th. As we take a look at the highlights, and Kim, UConn just dominated this game. They shot 49% from the floor.
Yeah, and so many pieces getting involved. It's really started on the interior with Aaliyah Edwards, Dorka Juhas asserting their size, their strength, being so aggressive in their moves, but it also helps open things up on the perimeter. And for the guards, Lou Lopez-Seneschal, what a gift she has been to this UConn program.
Yeah, I mean, to think about the ways in which she's been so durable, consistent, and also doing it on both ends. And we see Maddie Siegrist here getting in on the action, but that was a big part of what UConn was able to do, was slow her down, make her catches very tough and challenging in the paint and the post presence of UConn. That was everyone. The big part of that started with how Nika Mule organized and ran the offense. And the more they were getting stops, the more they got some runouts. Yeah, big smile from AZ Fudd. Welcome back. Great to see her get her legs underneath her and start to get a little bit more comfort on the court.
Definitely should note that Maddie Siegrist extended her streak of 20-point performances to 34 games. That's the 2nd longest in the NCAA in the last 20 years, behind only Kelsey Plum. But these stats say it all. It wasn't just the UConn offense. Ladies, they clamped down on a pretty darn good Villanova team offensively.
Yeah, and Villanova loves to move. They cut without the basketball. They do an excellent job with how they're able to distribute, and that was something that looked a little stagnant tonight because of what UConn did defensively.
We will be back with more post-game coverage of the 2023 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament Championship. UConn, champions of the conference again. Back one final time from the 2023 Big East Women's Basketball Tournament Championship. UConn celebrating their 3rd straight conference tournament title since returning to the Big East, taking down the 2-seed Villanova. Thanks so much for joining us. Matt Schumacher, Kim Adams, Sarah Kustok with you. We talked about it coming into this tournament. UConn played 10 consecutive games in February, decided by 10 points or less. Ladies, they won every game in this tournament by 11 or more.
Yeah, they showed their dominance, but Matt, I think this was one of the better tournaments that we've had here in the Big East in recent years. I think it shows how the conference is getting better and deeper. We had, I believe, 3 games decided by just 1 or 2 points. The evening session of that quarterfinals was insane. Villanova Creighton last night. So I think it bodes well for what this conference is going to do in March. I know there's some teams that kind of left with a bad taste in their mouth that I think are going to turn that right around to have success in the big dance or the WNIT.
Yeah, it's all about tourney time now. Another opportunity for tourney time coming up, and we can't see it, but the nets are still hanging here on the hoops. And normally teams will cut down nets, but UConn is had enough of those, as I already mentioned, 28 conference titles. So it is not about a tournament win necessarily, a regular season win necessarily. That's all well and good. It's about winning another national championship. And you look at the pieces of this team. We talked about them starting to get healthy, and they got a real opportunity here if they continue to peak and progress in the same way that we've seen over the course of the past week or two.
This tournament championship game was just the 4th time since the season opener that UConn had 10 active players. We saw the emergence of AZ Fudd as the tournament went along. She finished the night with 11 points tonight. Certainly a key piece for this team going forward. And she just seems to be getting more comfortable as we head deeper into March.
And that's natural. You can't expect everything to come back all at once. And I think for AZ Fudd, those couple of shots she started to hit, the three-point shots, playmaking and creating, that's all a part of it. So for her to have this taste of game action and now get herself ready back at some practices for a long stretch, she changes the dynamic on both ends of how this Huskies team plays.
Okay, Kim, I got to pose this to you because Gino Auriemma's bunch has been to 14 consecutive Final Fours. We know about their confidence in March. Can this team get back to a Final Four and potentially win a national title?
Yeah, I'm not going to stop at the Final Four. Based on what we've seen over the last 3 days, I believe this is a team now fully healthy, all the pieces back. I don't see why they can't win a national championship. Sarah, I know you were on the call for that South Carolina game where they nearly were able to beat the Gamecocks with a depleted roster. Gamecocks finished the season undefeated. Seeing how dominant the posts have been, as you mentioned, Sarah, I think AZ Fudd adds a completely different element to what this team can do. The inside-outside balance, the focus in March, I absolutely think we could see UConn hoisting a national championship trophy in just a few weeks.
Your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more, and I do go back to that South Carolina UConn game that I was able to call, and I think Kim's point of the way things open up when you add another shooter and a creator like AZ Fudd, and even for the rest of individuals, Lou Lopez-Seneschal getting a little bit of rest, what Nika Mule can continue to do at that point guard position. You have an extra ball handler. The post play has been dominant in all areas, and so for a team that not only can defend but can also score, that's why the margins of victory for this UConn team throughout the course of the Big East tournament were so significant. So I would not, I'm not making prognostications right now yet.
No angry tweets.
I'm going to bask in the confetti that we have here going, but absolutely you put them in your conversation for teams that could be hoisting that trophy at the end of the season.
Well, they've already hoisted 2 trophies, the Big East regular season championship, now the conference tournament championship, their 10th in a row for a conference tournament title. And now a deep run in March is what everyone in this building tonight is hoping for. It was a terrific tournament. You heard Gino Auriemma talk about the competitiveness of this league. We might see 5 Big East women's basketball programs in the NCAA tournament come March. We'll have to wait until the selection show coming up in just a week. But I'll tell you what, UConn, as Gino Auriemma stated, might have won one of their more difficult regular season championships and conference tournament championships this year. They did it with 3 victories by double figures, and UConn completed the three-peat in the conference tournament championship conversation since returning to the Big East. UConn atop the league again.